and welcome to Primetime Watchmaking in the News, and today's summary is as follows. A few product launches, some watchmaking events around the world, and some other interesting watchmaking news. And we're also introducing a new segment on this show, as each time I will be wearing a different watch that has been kindly lent to me by some of the brands we like. So for this first occasion, I had the chance of wearing a Bovet 1930. Bovet had introduced this watch last year in a steel case, and this year they come up with the gold case version, the one I'm wearing, and it's clearly recognizable with the Belliere, a distinctive feature of a Bovet watch. It's a hand-wound watch with a very comfortable 7-day of power reserve. And quickly before diving into this edition's content, I just wanted to ask something, because let's be honest, and I have to admit that we're not really super good with our social digital presence. We're really focusing all our energy in telling stories with our videos. We're a small team, so if anyone wants to help us out on this and leverage a bit better what we do and letting people know about it, well, I'm totally open to your suggestion, so don't hesitate to contact me directly, and here's again my email address. And also I wanted to say that we're moving quite nicely with the online boutique project, but it also takes a bit of time, but we're getting there and can't wait to go live with this. So let's be a little bit flamboyant to start this November edition, as we've witnessed the new price record set for wristwatch here in Geneva during the important watch week, and we had published an inside report prior to the auction on the very rare Steel Patek reference 1518 auctioneered by Philips, Bax and Rousseau. And when I think of all the amazing and crazy timepieces I've had the chance to hold in my hands or put on my wrist, well, damn if I have a wonderful job. So yeah, we knew it would fetch a hefty price, and it would be in the record territory, but God, if that went crazy. We were there and took you along to live this moment, as the final bidder offered 9.6 million Swiss francs, approximately the same amount in dollars, plus commission, therefore an astounding $11 million for this watch. I know it sounds insane, I know it's out of this world, but it seriously demonstrates that for some people with serious money, the price for something as exclusive and rare as this Patek is worth it. There are many rich people collecting money in their bank accounts, but there is only one that now possesses this watch, and that's the drive for these serious collectors. And to paraphrase what they say in realty business, location, 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 well, in the world of watch collecting, it's rarity, rarity, rarity. Anyhow, let's get back on Earth and to the dull reality of economics. And I guess some of you remember the Who's Who of Watchmaking dedicated to the Richemont Group published quite recently. Well, since then there has been some changes, as this group is quite hit by the decline of global watchmaking business. Again, everyone is hit, every single one, but as I had mentioned, this group is called a group, but all the brands in it are more or less totally independent from one another. There are very few synergies, thus creating many duplicates, and they have some pretty serious overhead costs too. So Richemont have just announced that they are letting off quite a number of employees in some of their brands, in particular Piaget and Vacheron Constantin. This is really sad, but it's also restructuring the very top of the pyramid, as the group's CEO and CFO will be retiring sooner than expected, if you see what I mean. They have now put in place a duo that will supervise all the group's watchmaking activity, and this duo is composed of former IWC and Montblanc CEOs. They are younger, very dynamic, renowned for their more bulldozer-like management technique, and simply have been rather successful with the brands they were overlooking. So a bit of a cultural change. We'll soon see where this leads to, and I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw some other CEOs retiring sooner than expected too. Unfortunately, this is the kind of news that we will continue to hear in the near future, because the good old days are clearly behind us, well, at least for a little while, and all the brands have to adapt to this changing environment. So some people took some bad habits over the last 10-15 years, so welcome back to reality. But this should be seen as an opportunity for the industry, hopefully for the better, meaning for the brands, their people, and ultimately for you and me, the customers. And I will get back to this in a moment regarding a fantastic event I just participated in. So after this gloomy chapter, let's go back on a more cheerful matter, as the GPHG, the prize ceremony rewarding the best watches of the year, or at least the watches that participated, and we were we're very happy for the people of Ferdinand Berthoud, who won Best of the Best with the Aiguilleur, the golden hand in English, with its chronometer FB1, a watch we presented to you just a few weeks ahead of the ceremony. A nice coincidence. Well, this consecration came in as a little surprise, as this brand is really young, just 1 year old, but nevertheless very legitimate. And if you want to know why, well, I clearly invite you to watch the couple of video reports we did, if you haven't done so yet. So it's an interesting story, and on top of it we have some really beautiful shots of this tourbillon watch with its fusée chain mechanism, typical of marine chronometers. So additionally to the Aiguille d'Or, there were 12 disputed categories at the GPHG, and again, if you want to see an interview with all the main winners, well, you know what to do, and check our coverage. So before coming to the main product launches of the month, I just wanted to come back on an event that I was invited to, and this is the Dubai Watch Week, an event that gathered quite an important number of brands, many independents, I must say, and many specialized journalists from all over the world. There were collectors and in general many passionate people too. The reason I want to come back on this is that this event really focuses on elements that for me are really important, and this furthermore in today's troubled business context for watchmaking. We have been drowned with fantastic marketing speeches over the years, and we clearly see that we have reached the limits of this. This is not simply enough, or on the contrary, it has been too much. Too much exaggeration on the fancy glitzy world of watchmaking, and let's be honest, the fault is incumbent to the brands themselves. Always wanting more volumes, higher prices, more boutiques, more full-page advertising, more crazy events around the world, more ego tripping here and there, and ultimately they forgot that they are not selling any ordinary products. It's not cosmetics or perfume, it's not iPhone, it's not handbags or fashion accessories. It's a craft made by people, and people are the center of it. Personally, this has always been my drive with the Watches TV. I have a huge love and respect for this industry. And by the way, I just hate this word industry when we talk about watchmaking, but there is an undeniable industrial dimension which is necessary even for a very artisan-like brand. As I've always said, watchmaking is the result of a network of competencies, and it's that whole that makes sense. And to be very philosophical, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So anyhow, at the Watches TV, we want to understand and share what watchmaking is all about, and we want to take you along on this discovery, and I think, for instance, that our watchmaking road trip is really a fine example of this. But let's come back to this Dubai Watch Week, because what was absolutely great is that it was a moment of profound sharing and focusing on what makes watchmaking so special. So, often during such events and trade shows, brands are there to fight for their territory and their business, which is quite normal. But here you could feel that there is real concern shared by everybody, and in a certain way, the organizers, the Siddiqui family, the main watch distributors of Dubai, they've managed to federate all these people around the notion of what is important, focusing on the essence. And my greatest sincere congratulations to them to have pulled something as interesting as this. This was the second edition. I had the chance of being there for the first one, and it simply got bigger and better. So there were many roundtables organized. I had the great honor of moderating one of them on the notion of complication with a rather fancy group of panelists. And it was really interesting to see that people, the audience, were all very interested in all those different dimensions of watchmaking that we explored in these various talks. But for me, on a personal level, one of the best aspects of this Dubai Watch Week was a corner they had put in place outside, where people came and go, had coffee, a glass of water, and this was just a fantastic meeting point where some really fascinating informal discussion occurred. Well, to summarize this, we all shared the feeling that we need to go back to more substantial dimension, and this is really promising indeed. Okay, enough of me getting carried away, and let's now talk about the main product launches of the month. And we will first start with Audemars Piguet, who have just introduced a really nice feminine version of the Royal Oak with a special frosted finishing. The technique used comes from the world of jewelry, and AP worked with an Italian artisan from Florence who kind of gently hammered the case and the bracelet to obtain this crispy snow crystal feel to it. And I'm totally convinced that many ladies will like this watch, but production will be limited by the amount of time it takes just to do a single one. So the next watch, and this year also marks the 20th anniversary of the LUC collection of Chopard, the high-end manufacturer watches of the brand. And to mark this special occasion, Chopard has just introduced their very first minute repeater called the LUC Full Strike. But the good news doesn't stop here, as this watch presents something never seen before, as the gongs are made out of crystal and apparently the sound produced is quite impressive and different. So I haven't seen it or heard it in real, and I definitely hope Chopard will let us approach this interesting timepiece and we can bring a full video report to you in the near future. And let's talk about Panerai now, who introduced a new watch called the Radiomir 3 Days Acciaio, a bit complicated, and inspired by a historical timepiece of the 30s where the brand was supplying the Italian Navy. This watch presents a 12-sided bezel onto which is engraved the word brevetato and refers to the main feature of the time when radium was applied to the dial in order to offer more luminescence underwater. The side effect of this radioactive material was that it kind of ate the brown color of the dial, and this is what has been transcribed in this new watch with a variation of this color tone on the dial. But no fear, this watch is no longer radioactive. It's equipped with the P3000 movement, and it comes in a 47mm steel case. So again, another very vintage inspired watch, nothing too revolutionary, and we've seen quite a lot of them recently, and I would rather see a bit more creativeness, I must say. So to finish this section, we'll talk about a new, quite original Tudor diving watch that caters to the forgotten left-handed people on this planet. This is the Pelagos LHD, and Tudor had already come out with such watches many decades ago after they realized that some of the left-handed divers were actually wearing diving watches upside down on their right arm in order to manipulate the winding crown and still use the elapsed dive time function of the bezel. So quite a funny story, and I'm sure it will make some people happy, as left-handed people are indeed quite forgotten in today's watchmaking offering. So this is it for us, and we also wanted to note that we are sadly finishing with the publication of our watchmaking road trip. This has been a fantastic journey in watchmaking territory with great visits of Patek Philippe, Audemars Piguet, the legendary Philippe Dufour, Zenith, and ultimately Greubel Forsey, as well as the visit to some lesser known players of this great industry. We've received so many nice comments from all of you guys. This really makes us super happy, and we really hope to pull this adventure again next year. We'll see. But we know we still have so many different places to visit and show you and share with you. All the best, thanks for watching. On a personal note, coming back to the Dubai Watch Week, I must say that it was so incredibly cool to meet in person. Some of you guys are a fantastic audience and really feel that what we do is being more and more appreciated. Makes us proud and really fills us with plenty of energy to do even more videos about what we love so much. So take care and see you soon. And yes, I really appreciated this Dubai Watch Week.